Hello and welcome to Our Favorite Films with Shivam and Mandy. This is episode 3 of our podcast, and we have a very special guest today with us. He's done a couple podcasts, to Take 3 podcast, the Bleacher Boys podcast. He's working on a few movies. He's done a brilliant play, and he's done a lot more on YouTube. Let's give it up for Ben Thomson.
Hi, thank you for having me. Thank you for that introduction too. Very nice of you. I don't know. I'm humbled.
So we're gonna just get some discussion going. What was the last film you guys saw?
I watched Only God Forgives by Nicholas Winding Refn, and it was good. It was good. I liked it. I give it
Okay.
4 out of 5, I think. Yeah, it's good. Like I like neon lights and grotesque violence, so
That one's the Yakuza one, right?
No, that's the one in Bangkok.
Oh, okay. Did Winding Refn make a movie about the Yakuza, or am I just stupid?
No, I don't think he did.
Okay.
No, but there's a Jared Leto film about the Yakuza.
Yeah, the Outsider, is that the?
That's okay. Why did I think of that?
I need to watch that. Is it good?
I heard bad things about it. I wouldn't bother from what I've read. What about you, Ben? What was the last film you saw?
The last film I watched is a documentary called Jim and Andy about the production of the film Man on the Moon, I think it's called, about the story of Andy Kaufman, and basically how Jim Carrey, in his own words, let Andy Kaufman take control of him and kind of caused trouble on set. I think it's a very interesting exploration of like acting and the craft. I thought it was pretty funny at points because one thing I liked that they did was that they made it kind of vague whether or not Jim was actually taken over by the spirit of Andy or if he was just, really, really deep into character. But the whole time when they were talking about Tony Clifton, they were just like, oh no, Tony Clifton's a different person. Because that's what that was Andy Kaufman's character, if you don't know. And anytime he'd play Tony, he would say, oh no, Andy Kaufman and Tony Clifton are different people. In fact, he had his writing partner, Bobby Zmurda? I can't remember his last name. He had him dress up as Tony Clifton and do the impression 10 years later, or 10 years after his death, or 20 or something. But I thought the morality of it was a bit weird too. Like there were points where Jim was telling stories about how he would like talk to Andy Kaufman's family as Andy, and like that really bothered me. Like that seems very yikesy. Like especially when he's talking to
that's questionable.
The daughter that Andy never knew he had and never met. That's as Andy. That's I don't know, but it's a very interesting documentary, and I highly recommend it. I give it like a 4 out of 5.
Andy passed away before this happened, right? So
he passed away they were making a biopic about him.
They made the movie. The movie came out in 1998.
Oh, okay, wow.
Yeah, this was a documentary about the biopic, not Andy Kaufman.
Oh damn, that was a while ago.
It's a decent movie too.
Interesting. It's on Netflix, right? So I saw District B13, which is a French action thriller that is absolutely bonkers, and it's kind of brilliant. So it's directed by, let me get this guy's name right, Pierre Morel, and it's from 2004, but you can't really tell. Like, I was guessing it was like from 2008 or 9. It looks like visually looks quite modern, and it basically had this super police, like the super cop type guy, teams up with a local insurgent from District 13, which is like the most deadly district in like the Paris, France region, and it's basically been walled out. So everything just like all the violence is contained in this one little quadrant, and it's just hell basically. And a neutron bomb ends up in this district. So now they have to team up to defuse the neutron bomb and save the criminal Lieto's sister. Now, what I love is that the film is like stars David Bell, who is known for being the modern pioneer of parkour. So the action sequences are absolutely bonkers, and there's some amazing sort of like fights and handheld combat and stunt work, and it's incredibly thrilling. I highly recommend it. I'm pretty sure the whole film is on YouTube for free, like a lot of films. And it's only 85 minutes, so it never drags. It's very snappy. I highly recommend you guys check it out.
All right, I'll have to. Sounds cool.
So, did you guys hear the new news about the Oscars, where they're going to be allowing basically any film that is on streaming in the last year or so to be eligible for an Oscar?
Yeah, and I can't wait for David Fincher to win his Oscar finally.
Wait, is Mank releasing this year? Or?
Yeah, on Netflix.
Mank is going to be a Netflix original. I honestly, out of the 3 Netflix movies I'm most like anticipating, Mank is the one that I want to get all like the big awards, because like thinking of ending things, probably my most anticipated movie of the year, but Charlie Kaufman's won his Oscar. Defy Bloods, Spike Lee has also won his Oscar. Fincher's never gotten his chance yet, and I think he really deserves it because he's one of the best modern filmmakers of our day.
And it's about Citizen Kane, so I mean,
True.
Oh god, yeah, he's got this in the bag.
What's interesting is, so if you didn't know, previously there was a rule that every film, if you want to be eligible for an Oscar, has to play at a cinema in Los Angeles for like a limited run, or like a certain run. And Netflix that's how Netflix has been getting their films to the Oscars. They would go to an LA cinema and run it for a few weeks to a limited run, and now they're doing that quite a bit now. So basically they've turned that off, so that means it's fair game for everyone. This could mean that indie films from like international indie films might have a shot as well.
I mean, it's still gonna be like they're still gonna only look at like the auteur. I mean, as much as I'd love to see like Jim Cummings' movie get recognition, I don't know if that one's still coming out this year or not, but like as much as I'd love to see that, they're gonna recognize like I don't know, Tenet. I know that's coming out in theaters, but they're gonna definitely recognize that. They're gonna recognize
what's that about? Like, how are they still releasing in theaters? How is WB so confident?
Then
they have to be.
It's gonna get moved.
No, they have to be. They really have to be. This movie's like a $200 million movie.
The thing is, Christopher Nolan always sells out in theaters, not at like home releases. So I think that's what they're betting on. But who's gonna come out and watch the movie? Is my question.
I mean, dude, this is America. We've already got people protesting to get the fuck out of this quarantine. Like,
I mean, you talk about America, but India, there are so many stands here in India. Like you would not believe it. People still use people still put like shit quotes on Heath Ledger's Joker. So you should understand, Nolan has a big market here. And
basically, everyone's uncle posts a Joker image to a WhatsApp group daily at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm guessing Dune and Mank and Tenet. I don't think will get any big ones. Maybe they'll give some, but I think
it's going to be loud, so they're going to win the sound award.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, yeah.
I think Dune is kind of sweeping up a lot this one.
Maybe. I mean, let's hope.
I mean, at least maybe Denis Villeneuve can win his first Oscar. Maybe, who knows? I'm hoping he does, man.
I mean, let's see. I mean, I have faith in that movie. I know a couple of people. My co-host of Take 3, Adam, because he's basing it off of like how poorly the production of Jodorowsky's iteration went, and then how bad Lynch's was. He doesn't have much faith in this one, but I keep telling him, like, man, Denis Villeneuve.
Villeneuve, he's like, and he's an author, man. Like, he's made like 7-8 films, but he's already an author, in my opinion.
He's had one of the greatest runs of any director I've ever seen, because he went like, I don't know, 4 years where he put out a movie and each was a masterpiece.
Yeah, just like he did. Let's see. So he did Prisoners and Enemy in the same year. Then he did
both masterpieces.
Then he did Sicario in 2015, Arrival in 2016, and then Blade Runner in 2017.
Yeah,
like he missed out on 2014, but that's an incredible...
Well, he made up. I mean, he made 2 movies in 2013.
Yeah. But yeah, he has a great track record. And the only thing I'm skeptical about Dune, because I saw like the images, is that I don't know, the costumes or suits look a bit weird in my opinion.
I mean, those are on-set pictures. We don't know how they're going to look in the final.
True. But I just feel the armor that they wear holds no weight to it. It feels like it's cosplay armor. It doesn't feel. It feels weightless. It just feels a bit like it's so weird. It feels at the same time really high budget, but really like low budget TV show. I'm not sure. I hope that it looks great in the film. Mm-hmm. I have full faith. Like, you know, once you put the color grading, once you do the lights and properly set it up. I'm excited though. The cast is completely stacked, so there's that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. You know what movie I think should get some recognition? I think Last Night in Soho. Like, Edgar,
is that still coming out this year?
Yeah, I'm guessing. Like, he hasn't given.
It got taken off of the like release schedule. I know. Like, it was supposed to come out in September, and then they just kind of like, this virus is. What are we gonna do?
Yeah, it's currently unscheduled at the moment, but I guess we can just pray that it comes out, because it's a psychological horror time travel film by Edgar Wright. That sounds incredible.
I hope he kind of does I mean, and this may be an unpopular opinion, and I love Edgar Wright's style. Don't get me wrong. I love him as a director. I want to see him do kind of a Damien Chazelle where he changes up and kind of doesn't do what is expected of him, because he says he's been watching movies like Repulsion and like some movie, I can't remember which one, by like I don't remember. My bad. He's been watching these movies, which are not like Baby Driver and Scott Pilgrim, and I really hope that means he's kind of experimenting. Like, I love like directors sticking to like a style, but at the same time I love watching directors step outside of their comfort zone. That's why I liked First Man so much. I know that one wasn't like as highly praised, but I thought it was a very good like departure from what Damien Chazelle is used to.
Oh, I agree. I do think, I do want him to just change things up a bit. As much as I love the snappy sort of like quick cuts and whip pans of his previous work, I wanna see what he does to the more subdued approach to his filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I am excited for is, well, I'm mixed on this. I feel like the indie film industry is going to get a beating this year, metaphorically speaking, because all the big films will probably come out in November. Dune, No Time to Die, Black Widow, like these are like the big money makers.
Yeah.
And I can't see a film like Green Knight or Minari or After Yang, like from all those A24 films, surviving in November in their slated release dates. I feel like they'll get decimated in November, basically. So I do feel we're going to get a huge amount of comedies and indie films pushed onto VOD. Now, that could be both a blessing and a curse, because that would allow a lot of people to experience indie films, especially outside of the US, because in Asia, it is tough to watch American indie films in cinemas or at home because they always come out really late for us. So maybe this change up could allow international audiences to further tap into American indie cinema. But I do feel indie films will suffer greatly. And if you look at South by Southwest on Amazon Prime, with their sort of setup, it's telling that only like 4 or 5 feature films agreed to join that. Mainly because the moment your film goes on streaming, like Netflix, iTunes, Amazon, it will be out on Pirate Bay or Mega, and then people can watch it for free. So, do you know Eric Andre?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I mean, are you talking about Bad Trip?
Bad Trip. By
Didn't that
mistake
get-
came out, leaked
didn't-
from Amazon, and then
Yeah.
and then everyone ended up seeing it.
I didn't see it. I wasn't aware that it leaked, but I mean, that does
It
suck.
leaked torrent, and then people put it on the torrents, and then Amazon removed it. But now it's already out there.
Yeah.
So, yep. So, shall we move in to? Actually, do you have anything to say about the new Oscars about sound? Their sound category, best sound.
Do I win an award now?
I mean,
Smart.
I was loud.
I mean-
Was loud, but because
No, I think it's more like boom. Now we win an award.
oh no, it's multiple. And then
See,
some music as well, and
I
then someone
won.
singing and clapping.
I'm already
But-
like a great sound designer.
What do you guys think of this new award?
Well, I mean, we were talking about it before, but I think it's telling of the Oscars because it's them kind of admitting they don't know the difference between sound design and sound mixing, which we've known for years because they don't necessarily award movies that deserve it. They mainly award the ones with the loudest noise, as we were just making fun of. I think this is also really impractical and very confusing because sound mixing and sound design are two different production teams. Like one does sound design does Foley work and sound mixing does like stitches the sound together, like the dialogue, music, Foley, all that. And so it makes me like it confuses me because I'm imagining on Oscars night when they announce best sound, they're going to invite like 8 people on stage because usually like they usually award like teams of 3 or 4 for like each category, but are they just going to invite the sound designers and the sound mixers on stage?
I mean, here's the thing, right? It's gonna be interesting to see how the awards are going to be judged from now on, since they've made it into one category. Because now we'll see like what which movies stand for best sound. Because now I think this kind of changes up things. Like now the loudest movie won't win. Maybe they'll appreciate some more things about it. But yeah, I don't. You gotta see.
I don't think they should be like merging or getting rid of awards. I think they should like be adding more, like stuntman.
I think now musicals stand a little more of chance, just because sound layering.
I mean,
yes.
Yeah. I mean, I've said all I need to say.
I do feel will be cool. You mentioned stunt work, casting as well. That's overlooked part. But also, I want to see an Oscar for like best motion performance, or best, or you can call it best virtual performance. So it's best like a voiceover or motion capture or both.
Then just give it to Andy Serkis like every year.
Yeah, but like I feel like it's underrated part of films nowadays.
I'd rather than have like that category, I'd just rather have like for example, David Thewlis get nominated for Best Actor for Anomalisa, or Andy Serkis get nominated for Best Actor for Planet of the Apes. I think if that starts happening, then there's going to be less of a stigma on animation and like mocap as lesser forms of art.
Oh, I agree, but that'll be tough. I feel like if anyone's gonna break that, like break the stigma, it's gonna be Andy Serkis, who should have been nominated a while ago. But I guess like they're too scared to nominate a virtual performance.
Because it's
And
it's not real, man. It's made on a computer, so we were nominated. I mean, here's the thing: if you make a category, if you make the announcement that motion capture can be nominated for best actor, Andy Serkis will do a movie every year. He'll just make 50 Planet of the Apes.
And one argument I think people bring up for not doing a best stunt category is that if you do a best stunt category, people will keep doing more dangerous stunts in their film, which could be unsafe and lead to injuries and deaths just because they won an Oscar for best stunt, like just because they won an Oscar for themselves.
I think it's the one who does it the best, not the one who does it like the most wild.
Yeah,
True, but if we go by the sound standards, most loud, that could
that is true.
Being like craziest stunt, for example.
You make a good point. This is the Academy.
You know what? We see, we are not 60-year-old white men, so we cannot say what the Academy is thinking. We do not know what they'll do. Next, they can be doing anything. Like the fact that they gave I was betting on the Irishman to win because he was like the black sheep. Like no one was talking about it, so I was like maybe the Irishman is gonna win, but they surprised us. So we don't know what they're gonna do. They could do anything.
I'll let you guys know what the Academy's thinking in like 40 years.
Sounds good. My money was genuinely on 1917 Hollywood. Those felt like the most because I don't know, that just felt like the safest choices. And then when Parasite was announced, I damn near fainted. I was like, what?
That was pretty big.
I was in school and I had to like sneak in with my friend's phone and I had to check the results. And I was shocked. I was giving a test and I was shocked. I was like, Parasite won? Holy shit. That's
I had to check after my film exam. It was weird. So, shall we dive in to our two selected films from brilliant director Spike Jonze? Actually, before we start, let's just run over who Spike Jonze is.
A genius.
He is an eccentric character, I would say.
I love him. He's one of my favorite directors. I think I've seen all 5 of his films, and all 5 of them are fantastic. And the ones I didn't give like a perfect score to are ones that I need to revisit because I feel like I didn't give them enough of a chance. He's a very inspiring figure, and he was the director that my directing teacher used as an example during our class. So
he's directed, if you're not familiar with Her, Being John Malkovich, Adaptation, and Where the Wild Things Are, and also the documentary The Beastie Boys Story. He's also known for doing a huge amount of music videos. He's done some for
some of the most influential ones, like the Fatboy Slim music video. Did he do the Buddy Holly for Weezer? I can't remember which Weezer song he did, but he did a
he's
Weezer
done
song.
some from Weezer. I think he did one for Biggie, as well.
He did the famous. I think by far his most famous music video is Sabotage, which, like, the influence of that can't be, or how big that was can't really be described, because, like, from what I've heard, just that was everywhere on MTV. Like, that was the MTV music video. And if your music video was on MTV, even just played once on MTV, that was a huge deal for you.
Also, more recently, he's done a comedy special for Aziz Ansari, where he directed that. That's on Netflix. It's called Aziz Ansari Right Now. And
Interesting.
yeah, he's also did the Beastie Boys documentary recently. And he started out in skateboard videos, and then he worked with Jackass. And now he's making some of the most unique and creative films that he has.
He hasn't made one in
true. But
it's been a
he's
while.
one of the most interesting filmmaking creatives right now.
He's certainly he's certainly very eccentric, like what he does, you know.
Didn't he do like a Squarespace advert lately?
Yes. No, that's not lately. That's like 2 years back. The Idris Elba one, is that the one? Yeah, that was like 2 years back. That was creepy, man.
He knows how to speak, or he knows how to tell very human and very emotional stories too. I think like just looking at his library, Malkovich, Adaptation, Wild Things, Her, they're all stories that really get the human experience right, but like specific human experiences. And you could like say that's because of Charlie Kaufman, that's because of this or that, but you know, without the right director, those scripts don't work.
Spike Jonze, certainly, yeah. I agree. Like the emotions, how to, and he does that sometimes without dialogue. Like we'll get to that later in Her.
Yeah. And so Mandy, you want to introduce it?
So let's start off with Adaptation. Yeah, okay. So Adaptation was released in 2002. It was directed by Spike Jonze, written by Charlie Kaufman. It stars Nicolas Cage, Meryl Streep, and Chris Cooper. And it's about writer's block. So this writer is trying to write a screenplay about an orchid book, and he gets writer's block. So basically, it's a horror movie for writers. So
that's a good way to put it.
So what do we think?
Adaptation's great. I mean,
it was
close to a 10 for me. I love that
10
movie.
for me.
Same.
Yeah,
same. I'll give it a 9.
Yep, same.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised by it, especially Nicolas Cage, because he gives us a fairly subdued performance compared to a lot of the other films I've seen from him.
Mm-hmm.
He does dual role performance, so he plays Donald Kaufman and Charlie Kaufman.
By the way, spoilers for Adaptation. Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, of course. So what I liked was his performance was the most like subdued and the most natural performance I've seen him give, because we all know him for his crazy expressionistic performances, whether it be Mandy or Color Out of Space or Bad Lieutenant, which is truly insane.
Yes.
But this was really a subdued and simple performance that I really appreciated from him. There are certain sequences where you can really feel just how low the character is feeling and how weak his self-esteem is.
Yeah.
And that is really well conveyed through just subtle like body language and the way he pronounces or the way he emphasizes certain words. That was a really interesting performance. And you look at Donald Kaufman, you can tell his posture has changed up a bit. It's more out, like his posture is more open, whereas you have Charlie who's sort of punched in almost. The way he speaks, just his entire demeanor changes really well between the two characters, and I thought it was a brilliant performance. And in my opinion, the best performance in the film, and the one that should have won the Oscar.
Yeah,
definitely. I think the fact that Nick Cage can play Charlie Kaufman, one of the greatest screenwriters, and he can play Ghost Rider, is just baffling. You know, it's definitely. I think his performance was the best thing about the movie. The writing, the writing was really good, but his performance elevates the writing too. Because with the wrong performance, this movie could have been so bad. You know, with the the wrong actor. But Nick Cage, he delivered, man. So hats off.
I think the movie does a really good job of portraying like anxiety in somebody
Mm-hmm.
and like introversion too. I like to imagine that Donald Kaufman. So, okay, for those who don't already know, Donald Kaufman is not real. That Charlie Kaufman is real. Donald Kaufman is not real. Anyway, I'd like to imagine that Donald is the version of Charlie that Charlie wants to be, which is like this super outgoing, content
Like stylish guy.
content with himself version, who's also like this genius writer. Whereas what he actually is, or who he actually is the shy, always second guessing himself and like too nervous to speak up Charlie. I think it's a good piece of self-expression in a way, because obviously he's writing about himself, and I don't know. I think it does a good job with kind of putting that introverted type of person on screen.
Also, I think that it's the only movie which addresses the fact that its first star is not so good. Like I was like, the thing is, I'm not saying it was not that bad. I'm just like, it was a meh. Like like I don't know where this is going. And then the story itself addresses that. Okay, the first, the movie, the first hour is not so good. The second hour should be, full of surprises and twists. I found that very amusing,
Mm-hmm.
because I think only Charlie
think-
Kaufman can do that and get away with it.
The way the film is written, even the most boring moments of the film feel so incredibly purposeful that you give it a pass because you know it has a purpose and it's actually carrying its purpose very well.
Mm-hmm.
And it all will connect to this greater narrative and greater commentary on how films are written.
How anything's written, really.
Man, the ending, right? Can we talk about the ending, or should we go? Because I feel like a lot of people misinterpret the ending. A lot of people were disappointed by it. Like if you go online and you read, forums and stuff, everyone was like during the release of the movie in 2002, like the forums were like, "Oh, I was disappointed by the ending. It was not so good." And the ending is supposed to be what it's exactly not supposed to be. Like in the when he meets the writer, the guy. I forgot his name. It's something McKee. So he's
Robert McKee.
yeah.
Robert
So
McKee.
he's
the
like
Tiger
he's
King
like,
guy, right? Oh no, you're talking about the.
What?
Never mind. I thought you were talking about
No,
Chris
I-
Cooper.
I don't know.
I thought. Never mind.
No, not Chris Cooper. Talk about the McKee,
Yeah.
the guy. I forgot.
Yeah, the story guy.
Yeah, I know now.
So like when he goes to him and he says that you can't have a Deus Ex Machina, or you can't have you not have exactly you're not supposed to have this. That's what exactly happens in the film. Like there's a car accident, and there's a crocodile that kills Laros, and it's very funny, and it's very self aware, and that's like the smartest of it. But no one knows that, so people were like, oh, people didn't realize that.
Mm-hmm. I liked also when he had the line of, "For the love of God, don't begin your movie with a voiceover." And
Exactly.
yeah, that seemed
Exactly.
Yeah,
was
that was-
basically a critique of the movie up to that point, which is really fascinating. But I think I don't think they tried to make like a movie that they felt was, below them. I think they were just kind of, like you said, because it's about writer's block, they were kind of poking fun at the like tropes that writers try to use to get out of writer's block.
Oh yeah, I do agree with that.
Um,
And at the same time, you could say the film also kind of adapts the book as well. Was it Stolen? No, The Orchid Thief. I mean, it does like a
Yeah.
mini adaptation of The Orchid Thief while being its own bigger thing. and then connecting into the Orchid Thief. I was like, wow, that blew me away. That aspect of it, I was because it.
Yeah, I think people walk into this movie expecting like a big twist, or like I watching being John Malkovich and walking into this movie is wrong because people expect something, but it's not that. It's very different. It's more subtle. I think it's more subtle than being John Malkovich because being John Malkovich in the starting 10 minutes itself, the movie is like, bizarre and weird, and it like goes to levels. And you can see that the movie is weird and out like that, but adaptation more subtle in my sense. Like Charlie Kaufman, he's a better, like he's knows, and
It's a
he's
lot
a
more
better
grounded
writer and
compared to I would say Jones's other work. This and Her, which we'll get into a bit later, is I'd say the less whimsy of Spike Lee's work. When not Spike Lee, Spike Jones. When you compare,
I don't know. Do the Right Thing was pretty good.
like it's fairly, it's a lot more grounded and strives for at least a somewhat feeling of realism compared to the formalistic and, as mentioned, fantastical whimsy of the previous Where the Wild Things Are and Being John Malkovich.
I mean, it's adaptation. I think I was also excited disappointed by the ending, but then when you search up about it, you're like, okay, that's good. Like that. That's what it's supposed to be. Yeah, it was pretty fucking awesome.
A little tidbit about the film: Tom Hanks was originally going to be Charlie and Donald. However, I think they ended up going to Nicolas Cage, but I think Nicolas Cage is better than Tom Hanks for this role, because the thing is that I don't feel Tom Hanks can really play someone that beaten down and low in self-esteem. He's just too happy. His public persona in general is just too
Tom
like,
Hanks
upbeat and confident.
comes off as too
No,
confident.
Nick Cage has Nick Cage has his expression throughout the whole movie, where he's like Charlie. He's like his face. He has this like nervous expression wherever he goes. It's
constantly anxiety ridden.
throughout the whole movie. He keeps the same face, like everywhere. And even when he's like smiling and talking, he's still like nervous, and his eyes are wide. And that's those little things. Like I don't think Tom Hanks can pull that off. 'Cause I see Tom Hanks is not bad. He's not. He's far from bad actually. But I mean, when it comes to those things, like Nick Cage is obviously better than him.
I just feel Tom Hanks is just way too cheery and upbeat, both in his persona and as an actor. I just feel it would be he has too much of an air of confidence around him that I don't think he could pull off. I feel like he'd be a great Donald Kaufman, but he wouldn't really work as Charlie Kaufman. I like the way Adaptation opens, where they're on the set of Being John Malkovich, and they sort of show us how low Kaufman's self-esteem is, and how like he feels that no one respects him. As right off the bat, people are like, "Who the hell are you?" Even though he's the one who wrote the movie. I like that bit, and then you get I felt that was just little touches like that. It was good.
Or like when he waved to John Cusack and just got ignored. I wonder if that's how it was like, or that's what it was like. I know he said like working with Spike is like a good experience, and like Spike is very open to ideas and collaboration. But like, I wonder if the rest of the set was like that to him, because this seems like a very honest movie. Like, I wonder how much of it is real. Like, I wonder if that waitress was real. I wonder if like, I don't know. This seems too close and personal to Charlie Kaufman's actual life. Obviously, you didn't watch Chris Cooper get decimated by an alligator. He didn't sneak and spy on fucking Meryl Streep, but like I have a feeling like certain episodes in this movie definitely did happen.
I mean, I think Charlie Spike Jones perfectly adapts what Charlie Kaufman wants to do. Like his vision, I think they really go well together because Spike Jones, like his direction style is very uh, it matches with Kaufman. So I feel like whenever they do something, it's just it comes out really 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 good.
Hmm.
Especially being John Malkovich, like I feel like now I don't. The thing is, I like it tad bit more than adaptation.
Hmm.
I mean, it's not. I don't see. The thing is, I like both the movies, but I like it a tad bit more because I don't know. Just being John Malkovich, it was a blast. Like to watch the movie. So I'm just saying it's not. It doesn't need. It's. I'm not saying adaptation is bad. It's just saying it's a tad better than being John
For
Malkovich.
me,
Okay.
I would place adaptation higher. I just thought that the John Malkovich really gets great in the last act compared to adaptation, which I felt always felt great and purposeful compared to John Malkovich. But I guess that's just me. But do you have any if you have any issues, what's your issues with adaptation or and that sort of like my
I never said I
oh
had any issue.
no,
I
no,
just
sorry.
said
No,
I
I
like
mean
it a tad
in
more.
general, do you guys have any like flaws with adaptation?
I don't think so.
Not really.
I guess this both applies to being John Malkovich and adaptation. It's shot on early digital cameras, so it looks fairly murky and visually a bit messy. Especially like being John Malkovich, I honestly feel I would have loved a lot more if they shot it on film and it looked more vibrant because I get they want to go for this really grey look, but I feel like it's just too dull to look at almost and like I just feel the use of early digital is kind of bad in being John Malkovich.
I'm more forgiving of that kind of thing. I think.
Yeah,
Like
movie was too entertaining I didn't was it shot on digital? I didn't even know that. I thought it was shot on film.
I also like with those two movies, I've only seen them on like streaming services or something. Like
Exactly.
I've got the Criteria on Blu-ray of being John Malkovich on its way to my house as we speak. So like, maybe Criterion was able to like upscale it or remaster it in a way so that it doesn't look like how it did back in 1999.
I mean, Granules kind of helps though with the movie, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I like that feel.
Just
So,
a little tidbit. Actually, adaptation was shot on film, but yeah, I do like the way adaptation looks compared to being John Malkovich. And also, another fun fact: did you know that in Turkey, when they showed the film on TV, they removed 35 minutes of the runtime?
in Tokyo?
No, in Turkey. In
Turkey, okay.
Yes, adaptation is only 80 minutes if you were to watch it on a Turkish TV channel.
What are they?
Why?
What are they?
I'm not sure, but I
Like-
just find that
Like,
intriguing.
do they take out all the like references
Drug
to
stuff.
sex?
I think drugs, sex, that sort of stuff they've removed.
Okay.
That's weird. Then why show it at all?
Yeah, if
Just
you're
don't
gonna
watch.
remove that much,
I don't get the point. Like in India, even they'll censor, like they'll show a movie like The Big Lebowski and they'll censor it. I'm like, what's the point? The movie is supposed to be full of efforts. If you're showing the movie, just
Had it
don't
with
censor
these
it.
monkey flying snakes on
Oh,
these
yeah.
Monday to Friday planes.
oh yeah,
I mean, that's legendary. But here, they just bleep it. I'm like, why?
Mhm.
What's the point? Just don't show the movie.
and anytime, and if you go to a cinema in India and someone is smoking, a big sound goes, "Smoking is bad for your health." Immediately when someone starts smoking in a film.
There was a tweet which said that the biggest villain in Joker was the smoking sign. So that's funny. Like, yeah, that's why I didn't go to the theater to watch that movie because I heard that I was like, I'm gonna be turned off by that.
And then
Hmm.
in Ford v Ferrari, they actually censored alcohol bottles in the screening I heard. So in the bit where the main guy is drinking, they just censored all the alcohol labels. Like you might as well just like CG it and replace it with apple juice or something, like the whole can of Coke or something. But yeah, But also,
Why does it?
I can't relate.
Why
I'm
does it always
sorry.
come back to India?
it's fun.
Why does it? Why does it always come back to India and
I don't
censorship?
know.
I just don't
But
know.
one thing I hate in general on watching films on TV channels is when they push in the screen, they crop
Yeah.
like that. That gives me a headache. Like you're cutting off half the screen. Like it's just a complete and utter disrespect towards the cinema and the vision. So, any last comments regarding adaptation?
Yeah, it is very good. And the thing is, it was good. 9 out of 10. Very, very well done movie. Very, it has a lot more to, it's more show, tell, show more. I mean, it's more show than tell. So there's a lot of things. I like it. 9 out of 10.
It's one of my favorite movies. Spike Jonze is very important to me as both a film fan and as a filmmaker, and I think Adaptation is one of. I mean, obviously he's made. I don't know. I say 5 because I count the Beastie Boys movies, but I mean 4 realistically movies, and all of them are like damn near perfect. So I mean, it's hard to say this is the stronger of any of them, but it's a very strong film.
I agree. I think my highlights are definitely Nick Cage's performance, the direction, and Kaufman's screenplay. I was surprised that Chris Cooper won the Oscar for playing John LaRoche because it wasn't bad in the film. I thought it was great, but it wasn't an Oscar worthy. I feel like if anyone should have won the Oscar, it should have been Nicolas Cage. And I do love how layered and deep and reflective the screenplay and the film is. Not only about making films, but about writing films and just about dealing with life in general. I thought it's just a really beautiful film and it's definitely worth checking out. So, shall we move on to our next film that we have chosen on a little Spike Jonze double feature? This film came out in 2013. It is by Spike Jonze. It is a romance drama sci-fi. It stars Joaquin Phoenix, Scarlett Johansson, Rooney Mara, Amy Adams, Chris Pratt, Olivia Wilde, and a couple of other people. So, yeah, we're going to talk about her. And it's written by Spike Jonze, and cinematography was done by Hoyt van Hoytema. So, what do you guys think on this film? What's your thoughts?
Is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's really, 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 really good.
I mean, yeah, I think it's one that when I watched it for the first time, I thought it was great on the technical level, but then later in my life, I learned to appreciate it. Do we want to talk about, like, before we go on, the kind of parallels to Lost in Translation at all?
Oh, for sure.
I haven't watched Lost in Translation, so
I mean,
you want me to like run down what exactly I'm talking about and prove I'm not a lunatic?
I mean, I know it's directed. I know, so it's directed by Sofia Coppola, and they're divorced. So I know
Well,
that. I know this. Like people are like the similarities.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know that. But I haven't watched the movie.
Oh yeah, sorry.
So I can't. I don't know what to say. So
All right, my bad.
I'd say let's do a brief-ish like comparison, basically. Basically, both her and Lost in Translation are stories about Spike Jonze and Sofia Coppola's relationship slowly falling apart.
Told from different perspectives. Interestingly, I think it's those two existing together is important because you almost get the full story. You see, and I mean, you basically kind of see, it's beautiful almost to like see how Spike sees their relationship versus how like Sophia kind of sees it. And like, you know, Sophia obviously wrote, you know, from a more recent and probably more painful place because And Spike obviously had some time to think about it, but like I thought those comparisons were kind of, I don't know. It's
I feel like Lost in
Yeah.
Translation feels a bit more cynical compared to Her, in my opinion. It's more of a, I wouldn't say angry film, but yeah, frustrated. Yeah, that's the
Frustrated.
word I'd say. Compared to Her, which felt somewhat hopeful.
Again, that's probably because Sofia Coppola most likely wrote it a couple year, like maybe a year or two after her divorce with Spike, and Spike had almost a decade to think about it and permeate in it. But I mean, that's just a little interesting thing I wanted to bring up. If there's nothing else we really have to say about it.
Which film do you prefer out of the two in your
Her.
mind? Yeah, I'd go for Her. I don't know. I found Lost in Translation kind of boring when I watched it.
I really like.
I got what it was going for, but I just was like, okay, and like, I don't know. I just thought Her is just a better film on every regard.
They're both fantastic in my opinion, but I think Her hits different.
Oh yeah, the effect that Her had on me after watching it for the first time, even my rewatch, was, I think, some of the most effective, like emotional filmmaking I've seen, because it really hits you when it hits you.
First of all, can we talk about Joaquin Phoenix? I think, man, Joaquin Phoenix. I think it's best. I think it's his best performance. You cannot. According to me, at least, it's his best performance because there's so much subtleties in his performance. Like there's this scene, right, where he's leaning against the glass, he's looking out the window, and you can see like the sadness in his eyes and everything. I know it sounds like philosophical shit, but when you look at the sadness in his eyes and everything, you can see it, and that's what I love about this movie. First thing, Joaquin Phoenix performance, great. I think he elevated the script, man. Like again, with a lesser, bad actor, this movie could have been like shit, but Joaquin Phoenix does it.
I 100% agree that I do feel it is. I'm not sure if it is like best objectively. That would probably be The Master, but I do feel personally it's my favorite performance from Joaquin Phoenix, and it's the one it hit me the most, and I guess it's the one that you can connect with the most. I feel, yeah, I agree, all the subtleties, but just how he felt like someone you know. In his performance, he feels like someone you've met and talked to, and that's partly because of Spike Jonze's amazing writing, but also Joaquin's performance really grounds it down and allows you to not only relate to him, but just really empathize and sympathize with what is happening to him. And through that, you sort of feel like you know this guy, like you've been his friend for a few years. I don't know. I just thought it's a very captivating.
It's a very
Some of us may have been that guy.
It's a very emotionally weighted movie. It's full, and like obviously, like when you're talking about the leaving, the divorce and everything, like you can see, like he's been divorced, he's full of pain, and he's not accepting anything until this AI comes into his life and changes everything. And it's weird, like in its Spike Jones way, it's normal. Like for a person, it's like, oh, it's very weird, but it still fits like Spike Jones' style. Like he doesn't make it weird. Like you can easily see like a comedy movie or like like a shit movie about the same concept.
There was
like taking an AI and
Jexy. As I haven't seen it, but I saw the trailer. It has Adam Devine. It looks like a fake, like an SNL skit to make fun of those sort of movies.
I refuse to believe that
movie
is real.
Sadly. So it's called Jexy, and it's like the tethered version of Her, basically.
See, exactly. This is such a concept that can be so which can be. I
Done in
mean,
a
I don't know how
horrible
to word
way.
it. Yeah, it's done in a horrible way, but Spike Jonze's way, he did it and he did it right.
Basically, it's what if it was her, but the AI was just really mean to the guy, and the guy was really dumb, and then the AI swears, but the AI is funny. It's just like it's bad. It's but yeah, I do agree. I feel in the hands of a lot of directors, her could have been an extremely just generic, boring, and lifeless film. However, with Spike Jonze and his writing, it's a very personal and warm and beautiful just film. And one thing I do appreciate is that it is sci-fi. At the end of the day, a lot of people overlook its sci-fi-ness. But one thing I love is it's a lot of times when you see a sci-fi film about the future or our near future, it's always dystopian. It's always sad and dystopian, like the world's gone to crap, everyone's sad, and this is an optimistic look into the future, if you ask me, where technology is beautifully integrated to our day-to-day lives, and all it does is just help us become better people. And I don't know, I just feel the way he crafts this LA was very clever. So if you didn't know, it's a mashup of Shanghai, or was it Shanghai or Beijing, and LA. So they did a lot of filming in Shanghai and a lot of filming in LA, and they sort of merged it together. And in the exterior shots, they've basically composited in some buildings from Shanghai, and they've created basically a hybrid of the two cities.
That's wow.
Through set design, through CGI. It's quite interesting, actually. So there's scenes where Theodore is just walking on the bridge. Then as he walks out of frame into the next shot, we go from a shot of him in China basically to him in LA. But it's really clever how the production design team, who I think it was the same team that worked on Lost in Translation, managed to beautifully create this idealistic and beautiful future compared to all this sad and dystopian fiction we get about our near future.
The cinematography, I think that's the most underappreciated aspect of this movie. I feel no one talks about the cinematography. It's simple. Like there's not anything complicated, but it's simple, but it's like very well shot. Like all the with the colors and
Oh, I agree. It never relies on gimmicks or sort of cheap tricks, cheap flashy tricks that make you go, oh, it's very subdued. It looks beautiful. It's a beautiful looking film, but the cinematography is never too in your face. It gently moves it with the film, and I would say it's very subdued and raw, but very affecting and personal and purposeful, especially. What else has he done? He's done
he's
Dunkirk,
done
right?
Ad
Was it?
Astra.
No.
Ad Astra I thought looked amazing, amazing.
Stunning
I think
film.
it's snubbed.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm wrong. It deserved a nomination at least. That movie looked good. Hoyt, I think, man, he's underappreciated.
So he's doing Tenet next, and he's done Spectre, Dunkirk, Interstellar, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, Ad Astra, The Fighter, Her.
I especially like the shot of him on the stairs. I like that whole sequence in general, where he's sitting on the stairs, because I think it captures that. It's something that I thought when I saw this I must have been like 16 when I first saw this. When I saw it back then, I thought like, wow, this is, really well shot, blah, blah, blah. And the stair scene was very well acted. And then I grew up. I had some experiences. I met some people who meant a lot to me. I dated a bit. I had a couple relationships that ended for one reason or another. And I watched that scene again, and I see me in some of those situations. That feeling of of knowing that
Hmm.
it's over and there's nothing you can do about it, but not wanting it to be, but at the same time wanting to make sure that this person who means so much to you stays in your life. I think that's very well done in this movie. Especially that ending monologue. I don't know if I could ever watch that again because it'll bring me to tears.
Mm-hmm.
But that ending monologue of his letter to his ex-wife, basically like telling her that
Wife,
he still loves her even though they can't be together, and that I'm starting to tear up thinking about it.
Same, bro.
Yeah. Sad boy hours on podcast.
No, but in a good way. In a good way. It's a
Yeah.
very hopeful film, and it's gotten me through quite a bit, I think, in a cathartic way.
I mean, if I have one complaint with this film, see, it's a 5 out of 5. But if I have one complaint with the film, is that they named Amy Adams Amy.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
but they
like-
named like that. I mean, I was just watching. I don't even remember. I don't know what example I was gonna have. But like they've done that so many times in so many movies. It like it doesn't matter.
I was like, I think she was like a last minute
Yeah.
recruit.
Okay.
I loved her performance in this. I feel it's one of the more underrated and overlooked performances. She's really good in this, and I don't know, it just feels like I feel like all the performances in the film feel, I don't know, you feel like you know these people and you feel like you know people like them, and I thought that was a very good aspect of the film. I do agree that I don't know, the ending, while crushing, had an I'd say saddening, or I don't know, it makes it's cathartic, but you do feel a bit teary out at the end. But it's also very hopeful, I would say.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, it's hopeful, like especially because you know that the love between these two people still exists. It's a different kind of love now. It like I'm gonna draw the parallel to Marriage Story. It's the love you have for somebody who once was the most important person in your life, who now can no longer be that person, but you still can't completely forego your feelings for them.
I think it's also a thing that you can love anything you want. Like, there's no definition of what you have to love. You know, like you can love an AI. There's no like, people will look weird, but you can love anything you want. And that, like, the sequence when like everyone is talking to the AI and everyone is, and that was because, so that like gives you hope. Like, you can love anything you want. You don't need to be confined to what society thinks. No, like that. I like that, like the thing that you don't, because when he says like, oh, I'm I'm dating an AI, everyone's like, oh, you're dating an AI, like that's weird. But then like Amy Adams, she's like, you're dating an AI, but then she does it herself later, like she's talking with the AI and everything. So like, yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. You can you can love anyone you want.
Well, you can love anything you want.
Yeah.
If they consent to it.
With an AI.
Like, yeah, pedos, go the fuck away.
Also, what I do think is worth mentioning is, it's a very simple point, but it's very clever how Spike Jonze utilizes a very well-known voice that is Scarlett Johansson in the film, because the moment you hear her talk, she's a very recognizable voice, so you immediately connect with her voice. You immediately connect with it. Whereas if they use someone who wasn't as well known, I feel it would take longer. For
They
you to
did.
connect.
So basically, like,
Whereas,
there's someone else supposed to be her.
there was, but they weren't as well known.
Yeah.
It was like a
Wait,
British
what?
actress. Yeah,
There was someone else
it was a
who
British actress.
who were like in the studio, right? And they were recording her lines. Then ScarJo came in and Spike Jonze made her record the lines, and then he was like, so basically they were using someone else for reference. And when they got ScarJo in, he was like, this is the one. So they replaced the other actor with ScarJo. I would say that was the best choice.
Samantha Morton, who is a British actress. yeah, I do feel her performance, Scarlett Johansson gives an incredible virtual performance, and it's like you connect to her really quickly because of the recognizability of her voice, and I feel that use of star power is clever. Like if you had, I think the same effect would work if you got Tom Hanks or someone with that level of likability and collectability.
Wait, you said Samantha? Sorry, you said Samantha Morton?
No, yeah, she was originally meant to play Samantha.
I know who Samantha Morton is. She was in Synecdoche, New York. Jesus Christ! Why didn't I remember that?
But yeah, so I thought like that the way we connect to Samantha is very clever. If they used someone who wasn't a household name, I think it would have worked as well.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just the score is also
The score.
just
I was
such
I was about to say, man, the score.
Mm-hmm.
If you
it's
haven't
just
if you haven't if you haven't put on your earphones and listened to Loneliness 3 at 2 a.m. in the night, what have you been doing with your life? Like,
and
Yeah.
it's an audible delight if you ask me. It's just so gentle and meditative.
but it's
Like,
not
you just sit
released.
there.
Do you know it's not
Yeah.
released anywhere? Like, you can't find it.
What?
Like, there's no official release of the soundtrack. You can only find like
What?
copy. Yeah,
There's that. No.
yeah. You can go check it out. They did not officially release the soundtrack. They released it for like one day, I think, and then they took it all of it out. There's no vinyl, so it's basically like people did like copy it and like post it on the internet, but there's no
There
official
is
release.
there is the moon song, that she sings in the film at least. That's a good song. I like that song. Lying in the Moon.
I mean, do you have anything else to say about it? Or?
Not really. I mean, not that anything comes to mind.
I mean,
I would say I don't. Do you guys? Okay, let's actually have a question about AI. How soon do you think we're going to reach level of AI where we have like really smart AIs like Samantha that is able to connect with us? That like, how long do you think that's going to be until that happens? Like, what's your predictions?
Can I tell you something?
If you ever played Doki Doki Literature Club, you'd know that we're there.
Oh my God, Doki Doki Literature Club.
Never heard of it.
How you never heard of Doki Doki Literature Club?
No,
Bro,
is it some anime thing?
bruh. No, you have to play the game. It's free on Steam. Go check it out. I swear to you. We don't look it up. Don't look up anything. Just play the game blind.
Okay, we'll see. But yeah, do you guys think we'll get that level of AI soon, or like I feel it's something that will happen in the next 20 years? I don't think it's happening so soon.
Can I tell you something? Can I tell you something?
Go ahead.
You know, in 2011 or 12, we were like VR gaming is the future, and in 2020 we are getting Minecraft in RTX. I think it's gonna be a long time before we get AI that's smart. I'm just telling you.
Yeah,
AI
Like-
that evolves, like I think that's kind of like I don't know, because a big part of why she was so smart was because she kept growing.
I don't think it'll happen because the thing is, whatever you tell the computer to do, that it'll do that. So
Exactly.
it'll be very difficult to. It will be very very difficult to like get computer think of its own. Like you're supposed to input something. Like Alexa, I think Alexa works that way too. Like you have to tell something, the automated response, and it'll do that thing.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult, but it could happen. Like,
But-
robots
but you
exist.
have-
So
evolving AI is also a bit deadly. For example, if you throw back your mind to 2016, there was a Microsoft Twitter AI bot called Tay.ai. And
Mhm.
basically, Twitter turned it into a racist bot
Okay.
Because
because
it's very easy to do.
it's very easy to influence and it easily evolves. So you just sort of mess with it, give it some ideologies, and then in like 2 seconds, you got little AI Hitler basically.
Mhm.
So I do feel, I hope we get I feel like we need moral and ethical AIs that can evolve before we.
Well,
But
if they're a reflection of us, then we're not going to get any anytime soon.
Yeah, I feel like her is a very optimistic future. But at the same time, I love how ambiguous, because it could be 2 years from now, it could also be 50 years from now. I love that ambiguity they present to us in the film.
Yeah.
And the technology is not like showy off. Like when you see a lot of films, like films set in the future, the first thing they'll have like a shot of like the new technology or something. But in this
A
movie,
car
it's not.
flies above
Yeah,
you.
I mean, yeah, I'm envisioning Blade Runner exactly, like because they show off like technology, but here it's more subtle. Like that's the least. Like they don't talk about it. Like he plays a game, with his hands, everything. Like they never mention it, or they're not like this is the future. This is the
That kind of
game.
game exists now. It's just AR.
I mean, Half-Life
it's
Alex.
realistic.
Half-Life Alex comes close, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's like it's not showing off. Like the technologies and the technology, it's pretty good. So that's all I'm trying to say.
and the use of CG is very subtle. I like how subtle it is.
Mhm.
A lot of other type of films would shove it down your throat. Like, you'd have like a huge city shot with like some sort of big fake CG building, or like, as you mentioned, like a little flying car, and it'd show off a lot. But I love how subtle and like calm the entire film's aesthetic is.
Yeah.
It's a very quiet film. Like if you look at it, it's a very quiet film.
It's a
There's
chill.
no,
It's
like,
a chill film. Like,
when
it's one of
the
those-
AI leaves, there's not like any big bright. You see them floating into the sky up to the
Yeah,
stars. They just
they're just
shut
they're
off.
sitting. They're just sitting. They're just sitting. They go to the terrace and just sit. That's it.
Yeah, and they're like, Samantha, and that's when you know she's gone.
I think that's like when you talk about like the thing where they're leaving. Like I think in retrospective of their marriage, Spike Jonze's and Sofia Coppola's, I think like that's like a good metaphor. She just left,
Mhm.
without anything.
out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I thought it was beautiful though that because I always saw the relationship with Samantha, like, God, what's his name? Is it
Theodore.
Theodore's relationship with Samantha is the metaphor for Spike Jonze's marriage, not the ex-wife character. So I thought it was beautiful that basically Spike Jonze was saying she evolved past me.
Oh,
that's nice. Ooh, that's
interesting.
Like that, and she like I wasn't enough for her. I was keeping her from spreading her wings.
And
almost.
I mean, you could say that because you look at her filmography, for example.
Just not even like that, just in general, like stuff we may not know about their personal life and stuff. I have a feeling that he felt she's now in a better place or happier.
Yeah.
And she just needed to make that sacrifice.
Interestingly enough, Nicolas Cage is related to Sofia Coppola. I think they're cousins or something.
Or something. They are cousins.
Nicolas Cage Coppola is so like it's almost full circle basically with where we start with we have Spike Jonze, Nicolas Cage, Spike Jonze, Sofia Coppola, and that connects us back to Nick Cage.
Scarlett Johansson.
So basically, Nick Cage is a connection.
He's everything.
He
is. He's the connection that the world needs now.
He's always relevant.
He is.
He's never not. Yeah, it's true.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what else? It's good. I like. Last thing I'll say is I'm glad they didn't force like a thing between Amy Adams and Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, me too.
So
it was very it just felt so natural. The progression between Amy Adams and Amy and Theodore. So I feel discussion wise that's all for today. However, I want my friend Ben, right? We're gonna give you some time to basically plug whatever you want. Go ahead.
All right.
Tell the audience about yourself. Anything? Yeah, just go ahead. This is your time.
Okay.
Go free.
Okay. I, as mentioned at the beginning of the show, I run 2 podcasts. One that comes out around every 2 weeks, and one that's very, very occasional. Take 3 is the more regular one, where me and 2 other hosts, Adam and Tess, discuss. We basically pick a topic, and we discuss movies related to that topic. The one The next episode is going to be an interview I did with Shivam, but the one after that, that's going to be the main cast again. For example, we're going to do funniest movies each of us have seen, and we're going to talk about why we think those movies are funny. Then you can go to Bleacher Boys, which is a lot more lax. I basically bully my co-host Sean into watching whatever I want him to, and we talk about it. For the past couple of episodes, we've been talking about bad movies. Hopefully that'll change once we record episode 4, because we're going to be talking about Parasite, but it's a lot more lax and funny, and I have a lot more fun with like the visual side of it. It's a lot more of me just kind of like playing with Premiere or something like that. Besides those, I don't know when this is going to get started, but I am a fourth of a 4-person YouTube channel called Offshot, where the original plan was for me and 3 of my friends to do sketch comedy. The COVID-19 virus kind of curbed us. So right now we're working on like a Discord kind of call thing that we did that was pretty funny. I don't know when that'll be available or ready, but just keep your eye out for it. And besides that, just keep a lookout for my name. I've written a couple of screenplays. I'm shopping one around and making edits to it. I hope I produce it. It's a short film, and it'll probably be posted to my YouTube channel. And that's about all I can think about. Trans rights, gay rights, support your local grocery store employees, be safe, and just don't be an asshole.
Also, Ben's podcast, Take 3, is on Spotify, and so is this podcast. If you just go on Spotify and search up the Take 3 podcast, you'll find Ben, and if you search
you'll find a bunch of other podcasts called the Take 3 podcast. Just look for the one with the dumb drawings.
And if you search up After Films with Shivam and Mandy, you'll find our little podcast. So, yeah, please do head over to Ben's channel. Show him some love. Listen to his podcasts. They're great. And you might see me in one of his podcasts very soon. And also, we'll put Ben's socials in the description below. Our next episode is going to be a Bong Joon-ho special with our friend John Bizup from a few podcasts, as well as his big presence on Twitter. So that will be coming out hopefully soonish. And yeah, let me know what you thought of this episode, everyone. Mandy, any closing remarks?
This was good. I liked it.
Yeah. And let us know any films you want us to discuss in the future and any guests you want on the future. We know for a fact that we'll be bringing Ben on back again very soon. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed our little podcast. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you guys in the next one.